So, a good day to everyone. So, for this video lecture on 140, it will be a continuation on the housing management since we could say that the um, waste management it is part of the like facilities and equipments that you need on the farm, on your swine farm. So, let's talk about yung waste management na tinatawag. So, most of the environmental concerns associated with piggeries relate to water quality, soil degradation, air pollution, and rural-urban interface issues. So, sinasabi daw na um, mga environmental concerns na that are associated dun sa piggery, more on yung sa water, sa soil, at saka sa air pollution and then meron din yung sa concerns doon sa or issues doon sa rural or urban. So it is mainly revolve around the waste of the swines, of the pigs, since improper waste management can pollute the air, the water, and the soil. And then improper waste management can also can also lead to yung mabahong amoy ng mga tae ng baboy, which can be an issue doon sa mga kabarangay nyo, doon sa mga neighbors ninyo. So, many factors affect the pollution potential of swine waste. So, uh, the factors include yung nutrient content of animal waste and then yung climate conditions. So, itong nutrient content of animal waste at saka itong climatic condition, ito yung nagko-contribute to the parang pollutive effect of an animal waste. Kung gaano kagrabe yung effect, yung pollution na maaaring idulot ng waste ng animal. So, yung nutrient content at saka yung climatic conditions. So, Um, the collection, storage, and application of manure are linked to the emission of odor, ammonia, and other gases like yung and pollution of ground and surface water with organic matter, mga nitrogen, phosphorus, and uh, mga pathogens natin. So, storage facilities that leak can be direct source of large quantities of manure contaminants to groundwater. So, kailangan natin na maganda yung parang waste management natin, specifically doon sa pag-store natin ng waste, since sinabi nga sa previous slide na doon nagmumula yung mga contaminants, yung mga pathogens. So, in the occurrence of a leak, when we say leak, tumatagas yung waste, then this could be parang a source of yung mga contaminants natin na maaaring pumunta doon sa groundwater. So, excessive or improperly timed manure applications on permeable soils can result in elevated nitrate levels in shallow groundwater. Then, another example is yung uh, sa ano kasi sa waste management, it involves also the use of the waste as a fertilizer. So, yung excessive or yung sobra-sobra naman or yung hindi properly timed or hindi uh, naaayon sa panahon yung pag-apply mo ng mga waste natin ng mga manure ng mga swines, then it could parang affect yung soil wherein yung mga permeable, when you say permeable soils, maaaring mag-seep through, pwedeng pasukan ng mga contaminants, and this will parang pollute yung soil natin. So, this slide shows that like the consequences of an improper waste management. Na pag improper yung waste management mo, this will lead to the pollution of the air, the soil, and the water. So, the dito, you have yung waste management practices na tinatawag. So, the number of animals is important in directly determining the amount of waste available and indirectly the system that can be put in place. So, um, dito sa waste management practices, may tatlo kasi na parang um, may tatlo na pwede mong parang i-apply. Now, this management practices, itong waste management practices, yung nagdi-dictate dito is yung number ng animal at saka yung system na pwedeng i-apply. So, in selecting the best waste management system, the waste management hierarchy should be the guiding principle. So, ito yung waste management hierarchy na tinatawag. So, from the bottom hanggang dun sa pataas, it is from least desirable to most desirable na tinatawag. So, yung hierarchy na to, yung most desirable or yung kailangan natin dapat na gawin is source reduction. So, ano nga ba itong source reduction? I will explain later, but basically, when we say source reduction, i-reduce natin yung waste ng animal. So, yun yung the most desirable management system or management practices that we need to do is source reduction. So, kung i-reduce natin yung source, yung waste ng animal, then that itself can be parang isa na iyon dun sa waste management practices. Less waste, less pollutant. So, it is the most desirable. Then, another one, recycle. Kung hindi talaga option itong source reduction, then we could go for recycle, reuse, or reuse treatment na tinatawag. So, as the name implies, we recycle yung waste, we reuse yung waste through various facilities, through various equipments and treatments. So, i-reuse natin yun as fertilizer, pwede, or as feeds. Then, yung pinaka-least desirable is yung disposal na tinatawag. Since, doon sa previous slide, makikita naman natin na yung pag-dispose or pag-store ng mga waste natin, and then merong parang aberya na naganap, nag-leak or hindi properly dispose of yung mga waste ng mga swine natin, then this may lead to pollution. So, this is the least desirable, yung pagdi-dispose talaga yung ng waste. So, yung pinaka parang most desirable laging tatandaan is yung source reduction. I-reduce natin yung waste. Then, followed by pag-recycle or pag-reuse doon sa waste natin, and then yung least desirable natin is disposal na tinatawag. So, sa waste management, yung pagpaplan ng waste management in swine production, basically, it can reduce yung risk ng pollution. Then, yung waste management planning mo dapat, it can ensure na yung mga facilities for collection, storage, or for treatment, and yung pag-distribute ng waste are effective para ma-meet natin yung standard na binibigay sa atin ng government, lalong-lalo na yung DENR. So, kailangan na yung waste management practices na ina-employ natin, na ina-apply natin is talagang parang na-reach niya yung goal in mind natin. Kung ano man dito, kung source reduction man or recycle, reuse, treatment. Ito yung waste management hierarchy, na-explain ko naman. Basta laging tatandaan, most desirable, source reduction, least desirable is yung disposal. So, let's talk about yung source reduction na tinatawag. So, source reduction technique emphasizes changes in operational procedure, technology, infrastructure, or equipment and farm inputs. So, sinasabi daw na dun sa source reduction, may gagawin ka or may parang i-adapt kang changes doon sa operational procedure mo kung maaari na magre-reduce ka ng feed or magpapalit ka ng pinapakain mo doon sa animal, or pwede rin na iba yung timing ng feeding mo, iba yung magre-reduce ka ng water, mga ganun. So, there's changes in the operational procedure. And then, there's also changes in the technology when it comes to source reduction. So, when there's changes in technology, maaari na itong changes na ginawa mo doon sa farm mo, this may reduce yung waste ng animal. Same with yung sa changes in infrastructure or equipment. Maaari na yung nakita mo na yung pag-change doon sa mga feeders nila, doon sa mga waterers nila, na it can reduce yung waste ng mga swine. So, pwedeng ganun. And then, changes in farm input. So, when we say farm inputs, most notably is yung pagbigay natin ng feeds doon sa animal. Maaari na baka itong feeds na to talagang marami silang na-produce na waste. So, pwede tayong magpalit ng ganito. So, magpalit tayo ng ganitong feeds. So, yun yung mga changes that you can do. You can change yung operational procedure, yung technology, yung infrastructure and equipment, as well as yung farm input para ma-achieve mo yung goal mo, which is on source reduction. So, first, let's go with the operational procedure. So, ano nga ba yung mga changes na dapat nating gawin when it comes to operational procedure? So, one thing that you need to do if you're not practicing this is collect and separate swine manure from wash water. So, kailangan na parang nakahiwalay yan. Hindi pwedeng magkadikit yung source of water mo at saka yung manure because this may lead to contamination. Then, you can also reduce gradually yung feed distribution to feeders during feeding time until minimal leftover is observed. So, kailangan na sa ano kasi pwedeng mag-practice ng ad libitum na tinatawag yung unlimited feeding. Yung ano niya kasi to, yung parang consequence niya is that hindi mo talaga maisasakto yung amount ng feed na binibigay mo doon sa animal. Meron at meron pa ring leftover feeds. Meron pa ring nasasayang. So, one changes that you need to do para ma-reduce yung waste is to reduce gradually yung feed distribution doon sa mga feeders until minimal leftover is observed. So, yung gagawin, i-reduce mo konti-konti yung pinapakain mo doon sa animal. If na-observe mo na marami silang leftover, yun yung gagawin. I-reduce mo yung feed, i-reduce mo yung binibigay mong feed doon sa feeder ng mga swine natin until such time na nakikita mo na wala na silang leftover or maliit na lang yung leftover na na nakikita mo. So, meaning, na-reduce mo na yung feed nila to the point na it meets yung nutrient requirement ng animal, it meets yung kailangan ng animal, and at the same time, maliit na lamang yung nasasayang na feed, yung feed leftover. So, yun yung gagawin. You could reduce gradually yung feed distribution to the feeders. So, this can reduce yung waste, lalong-lalo na yung sa feeds, yung feed waste. So, another one is monitor water consumption. So, parang same principle sa pag-control and pag-observe mo ng feed. In monitoring yung water consumption, pwede kang makatipid. Pwede mong i-allot lang yung right amount of water to the animal para hindi rin masayang yung tubig na pinapainom natin doon sa animal. Then, another one is institute a standard operating procedure during pen and pig washing. So, when we say there's a standard operating procedure, depende kasi yan sa every farm kung ano yung ginagawa nila sa paglilinis doon sa pen ng animal. Pero yung parang main goal mo is ah, malinis yung pen ng animal to the point na hindi na talaga wala ng mga bacteria that could potentially live doon sa pen ng animal. So, madidisinfect, malilinis talaga yung pen ng animal. And at the same time, konti lang yung parang water consumption mo na na nagagamit. So yung pwede mong gawin dito sa pag-institute or paggawa ng parang standard operating procedure sa paglilinis ng mga pen mo is um, hindi mo diretso na lilinisan using yung parang yung water, yung hose ng water. Kasi yun mostly yung ginagawa eh. Um, yung paglilinis, hindi na sila pumapasok doon sa pen ng animal. Yung ginagawa na lang, um, yung host na mismo, yung naglilinis, yung parang car wash sa hose ng car wash, yung pressure washer na tinatawag. So, yun na yung ginagamit. So, this may entail a lot of water waste. Mas madami kang, mas madami kang magagamit na tubig talaga kung yun yung gagawin. Pero if yung gagawin mo is papasok ka muna dun sa pen, magdala ka ng shovel, yung pala, and then uh, lilinisin mo gamit yung pala yung mga manure. Then properly dispose mo, ilalagay mo dun sa kanal, sa waste canal, and then after that, after mong gumamit ng pala, then pwede mo nang gamitin yung hose, yung power washer. So, pag ganun, mas matipid since na-remove mo na yung waste. So, more on parang cleaning na lang yung natitirang mga waste na hindi matanggal ng shovel. So, yun yung pwede mong gawin. Pwedeng standard operating procedure na pwede mong gawin para ma-reduce yung waste, para ma-reduce yung natin, yung ginagamit nating na water uh, can potentially become waste. Then another one is you train laborers on ways to optimize water utilization. Yun nga, kailangan na masanay or alam ng mga laborers natin kung paano nga ba tipirin yung water. And then, practice good maintenance of water supply system to decrease farm water consumption. Another one is yung mga sources natin ng water. Kailangan rin na yung mga, like for example, yung mga tank natin, yung mga tangke natin, kailangan na malinis rin. And then, kailangan na you should make sure na walang leak doon sa mga water tanks natin, doon sa mga hose natin, para ma-decrease yung water consumption doon sa farm. So, sa changes naman doon sa technology, meron ka rin pwedeng i-adapt, pwedeng i-change doon sa existing technology mo kung hindi mo man ginagamit ito para ma-reduce yung waste doon sa animal. So, ano nga ba itong mga to? Pwedeng yung fine grinding of feed, pelletized or extrusion na tinatawag, and then multi-phase feeding na tinatawag. So, all of this, yung fine grinding of feed, kailangan nito yung grinder na tinatawag. So, in grinding yung feed kasi, you could reduce yung waste by, kasi pag medyo malalaki yung mga feed, pwedeng hindi nila parang kainin ng animal kasi mapili rin naman yung baboy eh. So, if you grind them to the point na yun yung gusto ng baboy, then you could potentially reduce yung waste, yung feed waste by fine grinding yung feed. Another one is pelletize or extrusion na tinatawag. Kasi yung pelletize or extrusion, parang kinukumpak niya lahat ng feedstuff, yung mga nilagay mong feeds. So, tulad nito dito sa parang equipment na ito ay yung pelletized extrusion machine na tinatawag. So, yung ginagawa, kinukumpak niya lahat. So, nilalagay mo lahat ng feedstuff dito. So, yung pwedeng mga soybean, mga corn, mga rice bran, mga ganun or kahit anong mga feedstuff na ilagay mo dyan. Then, kinokompak niya into pellet size na ano. So, meaning, nare-reduce yung parang bulkiness ng uh, ng feedstuffs kasi nakokompak na, nagiging pellet na lang. And at the same time, yung pellet kasi na feed, maganda ito dun sa mga swine kasi nare-reduce niya yung waste, yung feed waste. Kasi um, in the form of pellet na eh. So, nakakain na lahat ng animal. When compared to yung mga finer grind na mga feeds that could potentially maging dust, maging abo lang. Pwede mabaling nga maiyangin or mabalingahan talagang makan di animal kasi finely grind na. So, mas maganda yung pellet or pelletize or extrusion na tinatawag. And then, multi-phase feeding, this will parang reduce yung waste na rin ng feed. And at the same time, yung pag-produce ng waste nung tae, nung baboy. Kung nagpa-practice ka ng multi-phase feeding na tinatawag. So, sa infrastructure or equipment naman, you could install yung mga feeder in pens where floor feeding is practiced. And then you could install a small catch pan to the nipple type waterer and small drip pans or drip pools na tinatawag. And then you could use high pressure hoses. So, yan yung pwedeng mga parang infrastructure or equipment na pwede mong gamitin. Pwede mong idagdag doon sa farm mo. Yung pag-install ng mga feeder tulad nito, in pens where floor feeding is practiced, i-reduce niya talaga yung waste, yung feed waste. Kasi, may feeder na sila eh. So, nasa isang place lang yung feed. When compared to floor feeding na nasa floor mo lang ilalagay yung feed, maraming waste na pwedeng maihalo pa dun sa tae ng mga baboy. So, mas maganda na yung you could install itong feeder para to ensure na wala talagang masasayang na feed. And then, yung installation ng small catch pan to nipple type water and small drip pans to drip pools. Yung ginagawa nito is parang kinakatch niya or kinakatch yung mga nagdi-drip na water na nanggaling doon sa nipple type. Kasi yung nipple type, yun yung doon parang iinom yung baboy at hindi maiiwasan na meron pa ring water na hindi maiinom ng baboy, hindi parang meron pa ring water na lalabas kahit na hindi pagkatapos uminom ng baboy. So, yung pag-install mo ng itong small catch pan na tinatawag, doon sa nipple, pwedeng may pumunta doon yung water para hindi pumunta doon sa flooring, doon sa ground, which can be a waste ng water natin. So, yun yung pwede mong gawin. Mag-install nitong mga to. And then, sa farm inputs naman, we could use yung highly digestible feed ingredients. So, by using highly digestible feed ingredients, pwede na mare-reduce yung waste na naproproduce ng animal. Bakit? Kasi digestible na yung feed. Meaning a large portion ng kinakain niya nadadigest ng animal, na-absorb yung mga nutrients when compared to yung mga feeds na merong mga undigestible or yung mahirap i-digest na mga feedstuff. Then that is a waste kasi hindi na nadadigest ng digestive system ng animal. So nagiging waste na to, nagiging tain na lang to. So kung hindi masyadong digestible yung pinapakain mo, then mas maraming itatae nung baboy, mas marami siyang i-produce na waste. Then, same principle dun sa use of enzymes, specifically dun sa mga enzymes that aids in digestion. So, yung ginagawa ng mga enzymes, kung hindi man ganun ka masyadong digestible or mahirap i-digest yung feedstuff no nung feeds na ipapakain mo, then by using yung enzymes that aids in digestion, then um, pwede nang i-digest nung animal yung feed or yung feedstuff na pinakain mo, meaning mare-reduce na rin yung mare-reduce rin niya yung parang pag-produce ng waste ng animal. Same with yung use of aerobic and anaerobic bacterial cultures. Um, Same principle, yung paggamit ng aerobic and anaerobic bacterial cultures that will aid on the digestion of feeds. Basta yung underlying principle nitong farm inputs na ilalagay mo is that yung it will help on the digestion of feedstuff, which will decrease yung pagproproduce niya ng waste, yung pagproproduce ng baboy ng waste. So yun. Then, yun yung parang source reduction na tinatawag. So kailangan na yun yung parang first option natin doon sa waste management practices natin, yung pagre-reduce doon sa waste natin, doon sa pagre-reduce ng mga feed waste, water waste, at saka yung pagre-reduce ng na-produce na waste ng animal. So, yun yung first option, yun yung most desirable. Then, yung second na pwede nating option kung hindi talaga natin ma-achieve yung source reduction is waste, reuse, and recycling na tinatawag. So, sa waste, reuse, and recycling, while it is true that waste na produce in piggery operation contains substances that are potential environmental pollutants, the same substances when handled properly can still prove to be beneficial. So, 'di ba sinabi ko kanina yung mga waste na nanggaling doon sa farm natin, sa swine farm natin, can be a source of pollutants, can pollute yung air, yung soil, yung water natin. Pero dito sa waste, reuse, and recycling na tinatawag, yung waste na naproproduce natin doon sa farm, we can reuse and recycle it given na we handle it properly para para ma-make use natin itong mga waste natin. So, one thing that we can do is we can reuse yung mga waste na ginagamit natin as fertilizer. So, yung nutrient content of manure is highly variable depending on species, breed, and age of livestock. Pati na rin yung diet and type of production and storage system. So, yun lang yung kailangan na parang i-take into account yung if we are reusing yung waste as fertilizer is that it is variable. Hindi lahat ng mga waste na naproproduce ng mga animals natin, yung mga swine natin, ay pare-pareho yung nutrient content. So, it can depend on the species. Maaaring na yung a large white na baboy is mas maganda yung nutrient content ng waste niya as fertilizer compared to doon sa landrace. Then, pwede rin yung yung breed yon, yung pwede rin yung species, baka naman mas maganda yung tae ng kalabaw, tae ng manok compared dun sa tae ng baboy. And then yung age of livestock, pwede rin, baka mas maganda na yung i-reuse natin na fertilizer is doon sa mga um, doon sa mga bata, doon sa mga hindi pa nanganganak na baboy compared doon sa mga 2 years, 3 years old na baboy. And then, yung diet and type of production. So, pwede rin to, pwedeng it can influence yung nutrient content ng waste if we are going to reuse it as fertilizer kasi um, it can reflect, pwedeng if it is high in protein or high in phosphorus, pwede rin na high in phosphorus rin yung waste na na-produce ng baboy. As well as the type of production and storage system na ginagawa natin doon sa farm. These mga factors na ito, it can influence yung nutrient content ng manure. So, kailangan i-take into account natin itong mga to when reusing yung waste ng mga baboy natin as fertilizer. So, in addition, pwede rin type of ration fed, amount of feed, presence of diluents, method of collection and storage, time and method of land application, nitrification, and soil characteristics are factors that affect the fertilizer value of manure. So, in addition dun sa mga factors na to, yung ratio ng feed, amount of feed, yung mga presence ng diluents, tsaka yung method of collection and storage, yung mga yun, all of this can affect yung fertilizer value ng mga manure natin. So, yung problema in making use of the manure is that the nutrients are diluted. So, when we say diluted, they are mixed together. They are in relative proportions that are inappropriate for most plants and animal uses. And nutrient content of manure may vary over time and from sample to sample. So, yun lang yung problema when it comes to using manure as manure ng baboy as fertilizer. Kasi, it is diluted na tinatawag. So, hindi lang naman puro na hindi lang naman na parang pure na manure sa isang source lang yung nanggaling yung manure na yun. So, they are mixed together. So, when they are mixed together, most probably, yung proportion, yung nutrient proportion nila is inappropriate or parang hindi talaga nami-meet yung nutrient requirement ng mga plants and animal natin. So, and then, tulad nga ng sinabi ko kanina, yung nutrient content ng manure, it can vary depending dun sa mga factors. So, yun yung problema in reusing yung mga manure natin as fertilizer. So, one thing that you can do is itong composting na tinatawag. So, itong composting na tinatawag, parang dito, it is an aerobic microbial treatment of solid manure. So, it is a process by which yung organic waste natin, it is converted into yung mga organic fertilizer by means of biological activity under controlled condition. So, itong composting na to, it is one of the process, one of the ways to produce yung uniform na organic fertilizer natin para ma-address natin yung problem doon sa pag-vary ng nutrient content from manure to manure. Composting yung pwede natin gawin. So, in composting, we can use yung compost fungus activator or yung CFA na tinatawag. So, itong mga compost fungus activator na to, ito yung mga, one example is yung Trichoderma harshanum na tinatawag. So, yung Trichoderma harshanum, it can enhance the process of decomposition by reducing yung composting time from 5 to 6 months to just 3 to 4 weeks. So yun, ganun ka importante itong compost fungus activator na Trichoderma harshanum. Imbes na 5 to 6 months yung composting process para magamit na natin yung manure, up to 3 to 4 weeks lang yung aabutin. So, yun yung ginagawa. Gumagamit sila nitong compost fungus activator na ito. Then, aside from reusing yung manure ng animal, yung waste ng farm into fertilizer, pwede rin natin gawin is we reuse it as feed. So, given that yung manure natin, yung waste is treated. When we say treated, na ano na yan, na-treat na yan in a way na it undergoes processes, mga procedures that kills yung bacteria, kills yung mga existing pathogen doon sa manure para safe nang kainin ng mga other animals. So, treated animal waste may be used as foodstuff. So, yung pig manure can be refed to livestock or used to support on-site ducks, chicken, or fish pond. So, sinasabi na yung pig manure pwede mong ipakain ulit doon sa mga on-site ducks, yung mga ducks or any other existing poultry doon sa pig farm mo, doon sa swine farm mo. Pwede mong ipakain itong mga manure na to given that they are treated. Then, another one is yung ensiled mixture of 50% swine waste and 50% rice straw can be fed to cattle. So, yun yung isang ginagawa rin. Minimix nila yung swine waste, 50%, half-half yan, 50-50. Minimix nila yung swine waste at saka yung rice straw. Then, pwede mong ipakain doon sa cattle. So, always remember na hindi ito yung yung parang kukuha ka na lang ng manure, ng waste doon sa pig farm mo, then ihahalo mo doon sa rice straw, then you proceed to ensiling process. Hindi ganun. Itong pig manure na ito, itong manure na ito, or itong swine waste na ito, it is treated. So, na-remove na lahat ng mga pathogens, mga disease-causing bacteria, disease-causing organisms doon sa manure. Kaya, parang sanitize na yung manure. Kaya pwede nang gamitin as feed. So, ito yung mga parang, ito naman is reuse as energy source na tinatawag. So, I hope na medyo maliit kasi, so I lifted this doon sa Philippine recommends. So, aside from reusing yung waste natin as fertilizer, as feed, pwede rin nating i-reuse yung waste as energy source. So, di ba given parang sinasabi na yung mga waste, yung mga tae ng baboy, pwede nating i-convert into mga biogas na tinatawag. Then, we have here in the table yung parang, anong tawag nito? Mga technology na parang ginawa ng mga local scientists natin, mga local researchers natin, in utilizing yung swine waste natin as energy source. So, first is yung machinery for the production of organic fertilizer. So, may dinevelop yung UPLB na parang machine that could produce mga organic fertilizer from swine waste. So, yung description nung ginawa nila is it includes yung mga breaker na nagpo-pulverize daw doon sa composted swine at saka chicken manure. And then, minimix, and then parang pinepelletize as molders. So, parang ganun. So, basically, they make use of swine and chicken manure. Pinopulverize nila, and then minimix nila, and then pinepelletize. So, yun yung pwedeng gawin as organic fertilizer na yun. And then, another one from Isabela State University, yun nga, yung biogas system na tinatawag. So, yung biogas system nila doon, there's a parang uh, concrete type na biogas system yun that uses fermentation process to produce yung biogas. Yung tae kasi ng baboy, may mga source of methane yun. So, yung methane na yun, it can be used as energy for cooking, lighting, and then yung sa papaandar ng mga engines, doon sa mga irrigation pump natin, mga refrigerator natin. So, pwedeng gamitin yung na-produce na methane doon sa nananggaling doon sa waste ng baboy. So, yun yung ginawa doon sa Isabela State University. And then, another one is from the Bureau of Plant Industry, yung sa UPLB at saka sa PICARD. And then, all involved doon sa Department of Agriculture is yung rapid composting technology na tinatawag. Now, dito sa rapid composting technology, it uses the compost fungus activator, yung sinasabi ko kanina ng Trichoderma harshanum, for enhancing yung process of decomposition of agricultural waste by reducing yung composting period from, yun nga, yung Trichoderma harshanum, it can reduce yung composting period from 5 to 6 months to just 3 to 4 weeks. So, yun yung ginawa nila dito. Then, from the Bureau of Animal Industry naman, we have here yung tubular polyethylene digester na tinatawag. So, yung description nitong technology na to, it is a low-cost, affordable, na easy to install digester for animal waste that is made locally available materials. Yung TPED na tinatawag nila is used for very small-scale swine production with about 5 finishers and 1 to 2 sow level. So, parang digester ng mga animal waste ito. At yung parang selling point is it is a low-cost, affordable. So, pwedeng gamitin ng mga ordinary farmers. So, another one is yung parang magkapareho sila doon sa Cavite, doon sa Isabela State University is yung sa Cavite State University naman, meron sila nitong biogas rin na tinatawag. So, yun yung mga example ng mga technologies that are locally produced or locally invented na mga technologies that can use or that can reuse yung waste doon sa swine natin as energy source. So, ito pala yung mas malaki. So, you could pause the video para mabasa nyo ng mas maigi itong mga to. So, if wala na talagang choice, di ba kanina doon sa hierarchy ng waste management practices, most desirable na i-ano natin is yung source reduction, and then second is yung reusing nitong waste natin, recycling ng waste ng baboy natin. And then if wala na talagang choice, wala na talagang option, then you could dispose of it. You treat it and then dispose yung waste. So, this swine farm is unlikely to attain 100% waste reduction. Thus, waste that cannot be minimized should be treated. Fortunately, numerous accepted treatment options are available. So, yun. Hindi naman talaga lahat na nare-reduce natin yung waste doon sa swine natin. Especially if it is a big farm talaga. So, most of some of the waste that are nanggaling dun sa farm, nadi-dispose talaga. Hindi talaga nare-recycle, nare-reuse, hindi talaga nare-reduce 100%. So, um, dun sa pag-dispose mo ng waste, it should be treated. So, may mga options ka na pwedeng gamitin sa pag-treat and sa dispose nitong mga waste natin. So, first is yung physical treatment unit na tinatawag. So, in physical treatment unit, sa pagtitreat mo ng waste, meron itong coagulation, flocculation na tinatawag, sedimentation, and filtration. So, parang ganito yung ano, parang coagulation and flocculation na tinatawag. So, um, parang inaano nito is nag-a-add ka ng coagulant doon sa waste mo, then nami-mix along with the waste. Then rapid mixing muna and then papasok dito sa tank na ito, dito sa portion na to where it is slow mixing, and then papasok dito wherein dahil doon sa coagulant, doon sa flocculation, doon sa rapid mixing at saka sa slow mixing, na separate ngayon yung parang sludge or yung mga waste talaga doon sa tubig. Now, itong tubig na to, pupunta ngayon doon sa filtration wherein it filter out lahat ng pwedeng contaminants, pwedeng mga foreign objects. So, yung lalabas lang ngayon is treated water. Now, itong treated water na ito, pwede nang itong gamitin hindi as drinking water, pero pwede nang gamitin ito doon sa farm mo. Since na-ensure na free from any waste na itong treated water na to. Pwede yung gamitin sa paglilinis ng mga equipments ng mga pens mo. So, yun yung ginagawa. Uh, Physical kasi it involves mga equipments, mga infrastructure na tinatawag. Then, sa biological treatment naman na unit, we have yung activated sludge processes na tinatawag, trickling filters, and then the use of anaerobic and biological treatment lagoons na parang ganito. So, yun yung pwede mong gawin. And then, sa odor control naman, odor originates in a pig farm from a pig's manure within the building and storage facility. So, ito yung parang biggest concern when disposing ng waste, yung pag-control ng odor. Talagang hindi maiiwasan na mabaho yung amoy nung manure talaga nung swan. So, talagang hindi maiiwasan na babaho rin yung facility, yung immediate vicinity ng farm mo. So, odor emission also come from feed products and feed processing. Pwede rin doon. So, pwede rin may factor, may effect yung pinapakain mong feed at saka yung process ng feed mo doon sa nilalabas na odor or na-produce na odor ng animal. So, merong mga feeds na parang yung selling point is walang amoy daw or minimal lang yung amoy na nanggagaling na sa swine kung ito yung ipapakain mo. So, pwedeng ganun, pwedeng factor talaga yung feed products and feed processing. So, swine odor is complex as it results from a mixture of more than 165 identified volatile compounds. So, kaya mahirap na tanggalin, mabaho yung amoy ng swine kasi tulad nga nito ng sinabi is 165 na identified volatile compounds na now itong mga 165 na compounds na ito nagmi-mix yan all together. So this can result to doon sa unpleasant smell. So there are different methods that can be considered to reduce odor from pig farms. So The three areas of pig production and manure management that can be focused on to reduce odor is yung pig nutrition, site and building consideration, and then yung storage and treatment of manure. So, doon sa pig nutrition, we could use yung mga feed additives like yung mga calcium bentonite, zeolite, charcoal, plant extracts, enzymes, and microbial that can reduce yung odor ng animal. And then another one that you can do is match the feed nutrient yield to the animal nutrient need para wala kang masyadong maproproduce na waste ng animal. Then implement pace and split feeding and then avoid dietary excesses of protein, feed ingredients high in fiber and sulfur containing mineral sources because all of this can increase yung pag-produce mo ng waste, pag-produce ng swine natin ng waste, and at the same time, it can affect yung odor ng animal waste, yung swine waste natin. So, sa site and building consideration naman, we need to ensure adequate distance between buildings para hindi maghalo-halo yung amoy. And then consider prevailing wind direction. Plant shrubs and or trees to serve as windbreaks para hindi kumalat yung amoy nung tae ng baboy. You consider yung prevailing wind direction kung ano yung common or yung most common na direction ng wind. So, pwedeng nanggaling sa east yung wind. So, pwede kang magtayo ngayon or magplant ng mga shrubs or trees to serve as windbreak. So, pag nanggaling sa east yung wind, then papuntang west, so you could plant doon sa east side ng building para or you could plant doon sa west side ng building para yung amoy hindi na para magta-travel pa kasi meron ka ng windbreak. Then ensure that the pig remain clean in the pen. So yun, kailangan talaga na malinis pa rin kasi mag-accumulate talaga yung baho, especially if there is improper waste management. And then you scrap and remove manure with less water. So yun, mixing yung manure kasi ng water, this can parang enhances yung odor ng manure ng baboy. So yung gagawin is scrape natin using shovel. Para hindi tayo gagamit ng masyadong maraming tubig. And then wash regularly and use easy to clean surfaces. So, yun yung pwedeng gawin natin sa site and building consideration natin for odor control. And then, last is yung storage and treatment. Meron ka nitong biofilters na tinatawag that are filters made of biological material that can reduce yung odor doon sa sa farm natin to about 60 to 80%. And then, meron ka rin itong manure additive. Lalagay mo dun sa manure, like itong masking agent, counteractants, odor-absorbing chemicals, and itong mga biological compounds that can reduce yung odor by about 70 to 84%. So, talagang mare-reduce talaga yung odor doon sa farm mo, doon sa manure. Pero yung problema for these kinds of, itong biofilter and manure additive is that it uses a lot of money. Medyo expensive yung paggamit mo nito. So, basically, parang it is a last option. Kung talaga hindi na makontrol yung odor doon sa farm mo, then you could use these biofilters and manure additives na tinatawag. So, with that ends my video lecture on the waste management doon sa swine production natin. So, I hope that you go over this and thank you for listening.